The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What time is it? Game time! It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world. Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max. And of course we are here talking NFL Week 5 and of course College Football Week 6. We're combining the shows today because we are a man short. And I don't know how long we're going to be a man short, but at least for on this show and next week, because the man that is here is going on a cruise next week. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on for you because, you know, we do have a man on hiatus and a man going on vacation, but guess what? Excuse me. It's going to be, you know, a great football week anyway, so, you know, people don't miss those shows next week. There's still going to be some great guests and people being a part of those shows that you're not going to want to miss hearing, but I'm glad I'm here right now at least. I mean, I'm glad I'm going to be able to talk a little bit about what's going on in the week of football, you know, for at least this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Glad that you are here with me for this one, especially because we had to do things a little bit more out of order than we wanted to. If you listen to Fantasy Football to the Max preview for this week, you'll notice that it's Gary and I on there with Mike. And Mike might be on, at least for next week, because Gary's not on. Mike will be subbing in for him, and I might get somebody else to come on as well to kind of be the third person. You know, Randy's just kind of going through a lot right now. He's girlfriend's about to have a baby, so he's about to have 2 kids, and he's got a full-time job that he kind of works later during the night, and just, you know, this thing with the website, it's a lot of work. If people don't have a website, you don't understand that. It's like, just to kind of do the things, maybe you look at the site and you go, oh man, it doesn't seem like there's a lot on there, but the work that it takes to get the stuff on there that we do have on there, between the small amount of people that we have on staff right now, it's a lot. And so, you know, Randy's kind of like, well, I got all this other stuff going on. Right now I kind of need to take a breather. So we're kind of helping him out, and hopefully, you know, he can get refreshed and be back pretty soon, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
He makes the show a lot better. So I just want to. Here's this. I want him to understand that we miss him. He makes the show better, and that fantasy football podcast was as good as we could do it. But obviously, you know, his chemistry with Mike cannot be equaled. You know, it's not the same. So
yeah, definitely not.
But we're going to do our best between the two of us here to try to give you as much. You know, breaking down games and giving predictions as we can here. That being said, there was a game that happened on Thursday night. There was a college game that happened on Thursday night, but it was between 2 teams that are going to have no bearing on anything that's going to happen, really. So I think it was like Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. There is a game that's important on Friday night, though. Clemson taking on Boston College. Clemson should roll in that game, but just something you got to be aware of. For the Friday night. But there was a game, San Francisco 49ers at home lose. So the Arizona Cardinals, who do not have Carson Palmer, Drew Stanton comes in, throws 2 touchdowns to Larry Fitzgerald. David Johnson fills in the running game. Blaine Gabbert had himself a whale of a time trying to get away from that Arizona defense. He was able to run around a lot. That helped. But there was even crowd members chanting for "We want Cap," and it's led to the fact that apparently Chip Kelly is going to reassess the entire team and possibly talk about starting Colin Kaepernick next week. Do you think after what you saw in this game that Kaepernick is the answer?
I'm not sold that he's the answer. I always say there's a reason the guy's on the bench. And I think that, they kind of felt like Colin Kaepernick was not the answer. That's why he was not starting this week or previous, week. So I think that, he could give this team a spark, especially for the fact that, it's a change. It's something that's going to, maybe mix things up a little bit. But at the same time, I really don't put all this on Blaine Gabbert. I think that, the defense losing one of their big leaders and Bowman, and now having to deal with a great defense that the Arizona Cardinals have, it's not all Blaine Gabbert's fault. But I get it. You want to find that one special spark that will make your team light up and start moving forward. And that's probably what they're going to try. Now, I don't know if it's going to work. It might, but right now, I don't see it.
With all the controversy going on with him, and I think people in that town are kind of ready to rally around him. There might be a lot that are against him, and there's even a college radio station right now that is trying to boycott doing a East Carolina game because of the thing with the flag and all that. But also Fayetteville, North Carolina is also a very big military town, so that's part of the reason why on there. But honestly, you gotta try something different. Not that Blaine Gabbert was bad. He was limited. So, that's kind of the thing. Great, he can run around, but so can Colin Kaepernick, especially if he's motivated. And it's been a while since we've seen him. Maybe he's gonna want to go out there and represent that team. He's obviously not gonna get traded if he doesn't play. So you might as well put him out there and see what he does for your team. I don't see what the harm in it is. You lost again. What are you, 1-4 now? It can't hurt. I really think it really can't hurt at this point. And as far as the Cardinals go, I think they really needed this win. They really needed to come out and make a statement and show that, yeah, we've been kind of losing some games maybe we should have. We've been looking bad in some games, but we came out here and beat a division opponent, and now let's move on with it. So, I don't know anything else you want to say about the game.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points here, and really at the end of the day, I think a lot of people thought Arizona was going to win just because of the talent they have. Now, Arizona has not been perfect. They're without their starting quarterback. But I think at the end of the day, people still assume that, Arizona is still a better team even without some of those key stuff, especially quarterback. So I thought it was a good game. It was not just boring and terrible or anything like that, even though it was kind of defensive driven. So decent stuff here. Not a bad game.
Certainly not. So we're going to go ahead and talk about, as I stall here because I forgot to have this ready. As if you people don't know, we do sometimes up to 3 podcasts in a row in the same evening. So I don't. Sometimes I have this stuff ready, and sometimes I don't. Need to go look up the college stuff since the college stuff is happening first. We'll get that done here, and then we'll move back to the NFL to talk about NFL Week 5. So here's college football Week 6 for you. Red River Shootout, of course, happening at noon on Saturday, Gary. One of the biggest games Texas plays against their rival Oklahoma all year in Dallas. Who do you think is? What do you think here? There's been years where Texas really had no business winning, and they do. And there's years where you think Oklahoma, no way, and they win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not an easy pick because of those reasons. And I look at, Oklahoma being a decent team. We all kind of had to be a better team than what they ended up being. But at the end of the day, they're still talented. And I look at, the fact that Texas is coming into this game and their defense is looking awful. Offense is okay. And you really wonder how is that mix going to work out. And the way I'm looking at this is, Texas is going to fight hard in this game. They're fighting for their coach. Charlie Strong is now having to take over defensive coordinator duties as well as be the head coach. That's never a good thing. And I look at this as, the Longhorns are going to play for their coach. But at the end of the day, I just think that Oklahoma is going to find a way to win this game. I think that Texas is going to find this once again in a hole where they can't climb out of it. They can score as much as they want, but their defense won't be able to hold what's happened when the Sooners come after them. So I still think that the Sooners are going to win, even though it would not shock me. I'll say it here, would not shock me at all if Texas won.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all if Texas won. I'm going to actually say this is one of those times, even though Texas doesn't have a defense worth a darn, I think they're fighting for their coach. I think they know how big a deal this game is. I know that people have come out and said that it doesn't matter, whatever. They can say that all they want to. But beating Oklahoma is a big deal. And that can help Charlie Strong in the long run. And I will say that Texas winds up winning here.
Wow, and that's it's once again. We just don't know, but I don't blame you for making that pick.
I should also note that Boise State also plays on Friday night as well. They play New Mexico, another team they should beat without much trouble, but that's just saying. You think Clemson rolls Boston College? So we don't.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement on that. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Another big game, and this has been interesting the last few years with Arkansas here. They get into this game with Alabama, and the last few years, was it last year or was it the year before? It was really, really close. I think it was last year, and they blew it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was last year.
And this one's at home in Fayetteville. Obviously, Austin Allen, not Brandon Allen. They don't have the defense they had last year, but it's an SEC opponent. Obviously, Alabama, number one team in the country, coming in undefeated. I think it'll be close, but I think Alabama winds up pulling away a little bit towards the end, and they wind up winning comfortably.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to get me to pick against Alabama. I know, yes, it's been historically close at times, but I'm sorry, Alabama should win this.
LSU in Florida has officially been postponed, I think is what they're saying. They're still trying to figure out if they're going to play it on Sunday or if they're going to play it on Monday or if they're going to play it at all this week or they're going to move it to November 19th. No idea, but that has been postponed. So that was a huge matchup in the SEC that's not happening now. And we'll have to see what they do with it because it obviously has SEC East implications, especially considering there's another big SEC game coming that we're about to talk about. So this is going to be an interesting one for what they decide to do for this game moving forward. Tennessee goes to College Station, going to Kyle Field and taking on Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a touchdown and extra point favorite here against Tennessee. What do you think? I think Texas A&M is going to keep on with their year that they've been having. It's hard to count out Tennessee when they've been winning so many close ones and so many times where you think they have a scare, they come out and win. But I finally think this is just that one where they just don't come back.
Yeah, I look at this as the same way. I kind of feel like Tennessee's been playing too many close games, and I think it's going to catch up to them. And to be honest with you, I think this is the weekend. I think they got a talented team, trust me, but they've been playing it way too close to the wire. Georgia did the exact same thing. Guess what? They got dog bit. Same here.
Yeah, I think possibly the same thing like Georgia. That we're gonna get a close one, and Tennessee loses. You never know though. The Vols have been crazy, and they could go in and upset Texas A&M in College Station. That's gonna be one heck of a game to watch there at 3:30. Of course, that's the big CBS game, so be looking out for that. Houston possibly in one of their biggest tests of the season against Navy in Annapolis. Navy did just lose to Air Force. Do you think this is a close, or do you think Houston continues rolling?
I feel like, Navy can bring it to Houston a little bit, but I really feel like this is a game where Houston will pull away. And I think that they'll take care of business by the end of the game. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be too surprised if at the beginning, first, second quarter, this thing is close.
I won't either if it is close like that. Like I said, it is Navy. It is in conference, so we shouldn't be too surprised. But, this is a Houston team that needs to continue to win big. Just so that they can kind of stay pat where they are. And just because, they've got that one big test with Louisville left, and you want to continue to appear dominant, and especially in division. So I would assume Craig Ward Jr. continues to have himself a day, and that continues with this game. So we move on again here. I'm trying to think where else we go. Ohio State. Indiana did upset Michigan State last week. Do you think Indiana keeps it close with Ohio State, or it is in Columbus? Ohio State apparently a almost 30-point favorite.
I think Ohio State rolls here. I don't think that there's going to be a chance at all. It's a home game, and Ohio State's had some rest, and they've had time to prepare, so I think they will roll.
Another big game, this time in the ACC. Virginia Tech, who just barely ranked this week at 25 for the AP poll, against North Carolina in Chapel Hill at Kenan Stadium. UNC barely 1.5.
It makes you wonder why. But
Virginia Tech hasn't played anybody, but they've looked strong in their games.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina has been, they had the one game against Georgia where they lost, but they've been keeping them close. They haven't been able to, remember, they beat Pittsburgh by that last-second miracle, and then they beat, Florida State by that field goal. So it's not like they've been blowing people out. So it's very possible that Virginia Tech could come in here and beat North Carolina.
Yeah, no, I think I agree 100%. It is very possible that could happen, but if I'm going to have to pick a winner, I'm going to go UNC. But Virginia Tech, they've got every chance in the world to win it.
Yeah, certainly. They certainly do. Another big game in the ACC, still scheduled to happen in Miami. Now, let me say this. I live in Homestead, and we didn't get a drop of rain after 3 o'clock p.m. And Miami didn't get hit that hard either, neither did Hollywood. So, and the storm's already passed us. The part of Florida that got hit really big is like Jacksonville, northern part of Florida, Orlando, that kind of thing. So I don't know if they're going to want to move in the game. I think they're going to be okay. But Miami, of course, undefeated. If it stays in Miami, this is a big deal. Taking on a big rival in Florida State, which historically these games always wind up being close most of the time. This is a different kind of situation with Miami sort of being the undefeated one, and Florida State already having 2 losses by the time they get here. This is a big one because Florida State, any kind of want to salvage your season, they have to win here.
Oh, I agree. And this is a big, big deal, and they've got to win. And it's going to be difficult because Miami is such a good team. They really are. They're a very solid unit. But I'll be honest with you, it would not surprise me at all if Florida State found a way to win this game. I think I can't. I think I'm going to go Florida State with this one.
I got Miami. I got it as my 5. I think Miami's defense has really stepped up lately. You got to be worried about them. Florida State, that's the problem. They haven't been able to defend, and they haven't been able to defend the pass very well either. Brad Kaya, of course, going to be able to be throwing it around. We'll have to see if this winds up being a shootout game or a defensive game. And if I'm going to go on a defensive game, I'm going to put my chips on the table for Miami. Just to keep things rolling, I got the whatever shootout at 1 with Texas winning. I got Texas A&M at 2, beating Tennessee as my confidence, and I've got North Carolina winning with a 4 confidence there. Alabama with a 6 confidence, and Ohio State is my number 10, Stone Cold Lock. Do you have anything? Did you set yours already?
I have not set my confidence levels yet, so I'll let you handle that for tonight.
Well, I actually think, Oregon. This is a rival team now. Washington and Oregon rivalry game. It's at 7:30, so it's a little bit earlier than most Pac-12 games happen over there on Fox. But it is one to watch. Washington coming in ranked number 5 by the AP after their demolishing of Stanford. I think that's kind of where we had them, right? Did we have them 5 or 6 maybe? But we had them right there. And Oregon has looked bad this year. I think Washington comes in. Maybe Oregon keeps it close in the first half, but Washington pulls away and rolls.
Yeah. Washington has been nothing but spectacular, and I don't expect this to change at all this weekend. I think that they will roll, and I think that they're going to, pretty much put that, I don't know if I say nail in the coffin, but they're going to make this, team, kind of wish that they would have stayed home.
I got Washington beating Oregon as my 8 confidence. Two interesting games here. You've got Arizona State, who was undefeated. They got beat. UCLA, of course, lost to Texas A&M in that first week. They had another kind of hard loss and to Stanford. I feel like UCLA is a better team than that, and I think they can come in and shock Arizona State. I got UCLA winning.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that Arizona State has played some good football. They've really been a team that has kind of, been there and been very stubborn. I just don't know if they can beat UCLA, only because I feel like UCLA, has also been a really solid team. They just have not caught all the breaks, and so I think this time they might just catch those breaks.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I think certainly just we gotta pay attention to what goes on in this game, because it's possible that Arizona State with their high-powered offense could totally blow them out. But let's hope for a close game here. And another one that's sort of interesting, just because it's Penn State, another team that can put up points. And Maryland really hasn't played anybody, but they're undefeated 4-0, and they're coming into Happy Valley. What do you think? You think Maryland keeps the undefeated streak alive, or is Penn State giving the upset?
Another difficult choice. It's a very tough to pick. But you know what? It would not surprise me. I just have a gut feeling, and it's probably not going to come true, but I think Penn State will be the upset.
Yeah. Oh, you think Penn State's going to be... I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Maryland, but, man, this is one that I'm not really sure of. So...
Yeah,
I might
me either.
Wind up moving it around in my confidence. I was a 9 right now, but I think I'm going to move it around a little bit just because not too sure about it for the moment being. But, yeah, so that's going to be it for the actual, like, what's on our pick'em. But there's still a few games that are going to be interesting here as far as what you do with the rankings. Michigan should roll Rutgers, so I don't think we got to worry about that. But interesting game here. I think it's a trap game for Colorado, who's coming in 4-1. USC looked really good last week, and I think they're going to be at home, and I wouldn't be surprised if they upset Colorado here. I'm going to pick USC.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's so hard because USC has really not proven a lot to me. You know, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pick Colorado. I mean, I have been that impressed with Colorado. This team has stepped up and really showcased that they've got talent, they've got will, and I think that they'll bring it, and I think they can beat USC. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'm going to go with them.
You got Utah against Arizona in the 10 o'clock slot. Utah hanging on to those rankings just like they did for us. I think Utah is going to be angry. It's in Salt Lake. I think they're going to beat Arizona pretty good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Arizona may come into this game and hang with them for a quarter, 2 quarters. After that, though, I think, you're going to see Utah be who they were earlier this year, and they'll start moving on and probably beat them by double digits.
And another one here, Stanford at home taking on Washington State. We know Washington State can put up points, and Stanford's not going to be happy after their big loss to Washington. I think Stanford comes back with a vengeance here.
Oh, definitely. They will, and they're ready to prove a point, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do here as well.
Yeah, trying to see if there's anything we really need to talk about before we move on to the... You think Iowa State can pull another scare on Oklahoma State?
I've not been big on Oklahoma State, and I just have not felt like that they're a great team. But I think in this chance, I think they still prevail here. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me to see the upset, but I think they'll prevail.
Michigan State and BYU.
Man, I got Michigan State there. BYU is not the team they were last year.
Certainly not. I got Michigan State there too. Western Michigan, who we have ranked, they're 5-0, taking on those Northern Illinois team. Northern Illinois nowhere near what they were last year. I think Western Michigan wins at home.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's Western Michigan for sure.
Air Force having to go to Wyoming, and Wyoming's been pretty decent actually in the Mountain West. We have them ranked as well. What do you think?
The other one that's kind of interesting. But you know what? I'll go with Wyoming.
Oof. Wyoming did upset, I forgot who it was earlier in the year as well. I'll give Air Force the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to pick them, but don't be surprised if Gary's pick is the one that's right at the end of the day. And North Texas at home taking on Marshall, Gary.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, isn't it? Because we are going to try to predict this, and I pick against North Texas all the time, and I don't think I'm going to stop now. I think Marshall.
I got, I'll just take North Texas. Oh, and Georgia versus South Carolina got moved to Sunday at 2:30 because of the hurricane. Who you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with Georgia on this one.
Georgia should get the victory, and hopefully for them it ain't by a point or something. They need to stop having all these close games. They start giving their fans such heart attacks already, especially with all the stuff going on with the hurricane and everything. Give them something to be happy about early and get that out of the way. So that's going to conclude us talking about the college variety here. We're going to move on to the NFL portion of the schedule, and New England should roll Cleveland, right?
No, without a doubt, you've got Tom Brady back, and he's going to be out with a vengeance, and it's going to be an ugly game. I feel bad for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. The Patriots are going to want to go in there and prove that last week was a fluke. Brady wasn't around. You know, it is the Browns, so you don't know how much you can really take from it, but the Patriots are going to make you want to feel like, who cares if it's the Browns? We're making a statement here. The Chicago Bears going into Indianapolis, who are coming off a London game with Jacksonville. Chicago Bears have some missing players, some banged up players. Colts do as well. What do you think?
I think overall, the Chicago Bears will be able to do, some things that they want to do, like run Howard and maybe get some success going with, the offense. But I don't think it's going to continue. I really look at this being a game where Indianapolis is going to start this thing off, and they may start slow, but they'll start getting in the end zone, and Chicago will not be able to match that. I think this is a game where you're going to see just slowly but surely the Colts pull away and win.
Yeah, certainly. That's going to be the case. I think the Colts, they know where they're at here. They know this is a serious thing. They've got to win. You can't go 1-4 and want to do something in this division, even though, two of the other teams are kind of slumming it right now. I still think you got to be careful about going too far deep. Chicago's a frisky team with Brian Hoyer at quarterback and Jordan Howard, and that defense has been improving. I think you got to be careful here, and it could really be a trap game for the Colts if they don't pay attention, even if it's at home. But I think they wind up pulling it. They wind up getting it here. I'm not too sure about it, but I think they wind up doing it. The Philadelphia Eagles come off the bye, and they get the 1-3 Detroit Lions. They do have to go to Ford Field. Matthew Stafford's going to be without some weapons. Marvin Jones Jr. has been having some injury woes. Don't know if he's going to play. Eric Ebron's out. So whether you're mad at Golden Tate or not, he's going to have to play. What do you think?
Well, it's going to come down to seeing what Matthew Stafford can do, to be honest with you, and also what Carson Wentz. I think this is going to be a game about the quarterback and what the quarterbacks can do. Stafford is without some of his biggest weapons, and so I think this is going to leave it to be in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles' defense is solid, and I think they're going to pretty much take care of business because of the fact that Stafford is going to be kind of left much to offer.
Certainly. I think the Eagles, with that defense, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for the Lions not to go in there and just beat them. Even if you're at home, it's hard for me to just really think the way the Lions have been on offense. They haven't been clicking the way we thought they were going to, especially the way they were earlier in the season. So right now, I don't have a lot of faith in them. And I've got to go with my gut here and pick the Eagles. And they will continue to be undefeated if my prediction is proven correct. So after that, we have the Miami Dolphins, and this game is considering being moved to Tennessee. I think they'll wind up playing it at the Hard Rock because, like I said, a lot of that area did not really get hit that hard. So I think the Dolphins, even though they're at home, man, I just can't trust the Dolphins right now. I really can't. The way they've been playing, sometimes they look so putrid on offense. Not being able to run the ball very well with Jay Ajayi. Tannehill is just so up and down. I know the Tennessee Titans are kind of the same way, but with that running game the Titans have, I think I can trust them more.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. I think that the Dolphins just have so much that they can't control, and one of those things that they can't control is the fact that this running game is going to keep slamming into him and slamming into him over and over again. And I think eventually that's going to break him down. And not only that, I mean, just really let's think about it. I mean, I think both these teams are a little bit even matched, and if one team has just one thing in their advantage, I think that's just going to put them over. And it went to, this is another thing where I'd look at this game as it being maybe a special teams victory, maybe the last minute field goal or a kicker return for a touchdown wins the game, because I think these teams are kind of evenly matched.
Yeah, certainly. That's always a possibility. And speaking of two teams ramming each other, it's going to be the Houston Texans and Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings at home, undefeated, of course. The Texans, after they lost to the Patriots, win last week. This is going to be an interesting game, one of the big ones in that 1 o'clock slot, along with the Jets and Steelers. I just feel like the Vikings, the way their defense is played, man, you can't go against them right now.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And, the Houston Texans were coming into this year, and they were supposedly going to have a really good defense. But, man, with J.J. Watt going down and with a few other situations that have taken place on that team, you just don't see it. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a tough task to ask Brock Osweiler and Lamar Miller to overcome what that Minnesota defense is going to throw their way. So, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a low-scoring affair. But I do have the Minnesota Vikings winning.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, just because of the two defenses. But, this seems like one of those, 12-9 games or something. But I have more faith that the Vikings will wind up getting the win, especially because Osweiler is prone to throwing some interceptions or getting some turnovers. Speaking of the New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the way Fitzpatrick's been playing, I feel like this goes right into the Steelers. Man, the Steelers might roll in this one.
Roll, I'm not sure. I think that, the New York Jets still have a decent defense. Is it perfect? No. But I think that their defense is still going to put pressure on Big Ben at times. I think that this game may get out of hand and it may get away from them, but I'm not sold that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come in here and just beat them up right away. I think it's going to take a minute or two, and then before you know it, you're in the fourth quarter and the Pittsburgh Steelers are starting to pull away.
Yeah, that's quite the possibility as well. I mean, this all depends on, especially with Le'Veon Bell back, the Steelers got even more firepower. That's going to be hard for the Jets to match with Eric Decker going down. You don't know what Brandon Marshall you're going to get, and Matt Forte can't do everything. It's going to be a rough one for the Jets, certainly. Washington Redskins taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to want to bounce back here. This is going to be one of those, I think it's going to be a close game. Washington's looked really good in the last two. They definitely have the ability to come in and upset the Ravens, but I think the Ravens at home get this one.
Yeah, I look at this as also another matchup that's very interesting. I think that, when you look at it, I think Joe Flacco and company will probably have a pretty decent game. I think Josh Norman always is a threat, and he may take Steve Smith away, or he may take another one of these threats away, Mike Wallace or something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't really trust either running game. I think both running games are not really that well talented, and they just don't have the ability to do it as well as they need to. So it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, and I think at the end of the day, I kind of look at, Kirk Cousins having the opportunity with all the weapons he has to take advantage of that. So I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins.
All right. Well, that'll be interesting to see if our split there, what happens. And this game should be fantastic at the 4:05 slot. The Denver Broncos at home, undefeated. Don't know what quarterback's going to start for them yet. Going against one of the top offenses in the league right now. Matt Ryan has been on fire. So offense against defense, usually defense wins. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos here.
Yeah, the Broncos, and their defense is so amazing, and it's just kind of like what we talked about with Minnesota. It's just hard for me to see, any team getting past them at this minute. Look, I get it. Matt Ryan has done so well. Just played his mind off, and he's just done everything he needs to do to really prove to people that, hey, I'm still here. I still hang around, and I still can throw touchdowns, and that's exactly what he's been doing. But saying all that, I just think this Denver defense shuts it all down. I just don't believe that they're going to get past that, and we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you could double. They've got the corners to even go just one-on-one. Akeem Talib has been playing great, getting some interceptions the last few games. I mean, Julio Jones is going to be a tough cover for anybody, but they have the guys to be able to do it and do it pretty well, and then you'll see if Matt Ryan will be able to pass the other guys or not. That being said, too, another game that could be a defensive battle, the Buffalo Bills, who have find themselves one game behind the Patriots right now after their resurgence, taking on the Los Angeles Rams, a huge surprise for this season. The Rams at home. I got the Rams in this one. I think they continue to do what they've been doing. This is going to be an interesting game, certainly. They have the defense to control Tyrod Taylor. Of course, the Buffalo Bills have the defense to control Case Keenum, but I'm going to give the Rams the benefit of the doubt, and I think this might be the game where Gurley finally gets back to being Gurley.
It's hard for me to remember exactly who I choose in my actual, when we actually voted and picked the pick'ems, but I chose the Bills on the fantasy podcast, and I kind of thought I picked LA. So you know what? I may switch it here only because I think actually my actual voting I actually picked LA. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I think I agree with you. Gurley may get things going, but Case Keenum has overcome adversity, and I think we could see that happen again here.
The San Diego Chargers going into division rival Oakland and taking them on. San Diego so close to winning some of these games, and Oakland same thing, so close to losing some of these games. This could be really, really interesting. A division rivals going against each other. This is a trap game for Oakland. Be careful, and especially because they don't play that well at home. I think San Diego can certainly come in here and get the win, and I got them getting the win. Of course, I had them getting the win last week, and they made that too.
I know it's so tough, but the fact that Oakland's played at home really did factor into it for me because they've had such a hard time at times winning at home. But not only that, I mean, really, San Diego, they know they're in a world of hurt. Their defense is getting beat up. Their offense is taking a toll when it comes to injuries. We saw Danny Woodhead and Keenan Allen both go out for the year. There's a lot here, but I still think that offense is talented enough, and I think that they will find a way to win this game despite the fact that they've had so many injury concerns. So I'll go with San Diego.
Well, Gary, our Cowboys are at home against a formidable opponent in the Cincinnati Bengals, the toughest defense that Dak Prescott's faced yet, Ezekiel Elliott has faced yet, and this is going to be one of those real big tests for the Cowboys.
Yes, it is, and you're really going to get a chance to see what Dak Prescott can do when facing a top-notch defense in the NFL. And that's exciting for Cowboy fans, I'm sure. It's exciting for anybody who just kind of enjoyed watching this guy in college and, of course, watching him in these early games in his rookie season. So I'm really curious to see what happens here. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. The only reason I'm going with Bengals is I'm not sure that Dallas can contain A.J. Green and Jeremy Hill all at the same time. I just don't believe that defense can take care of that. And so, I'm not saying Dak Prescott's not going to have a good game. I just think that, he may lose this one, maybe in the end of the game.
Don't forget about Giovanni Bernard and the fact that you've got offensive linemen banged up all over for the Cowboys, and that defense for the Bengals is not a joke. I mean, they lost some players, but they're still a formidable defense, and that's something you got to worry about. I got the Bengals as well here. It's the first time I picked against the Cowboys all season. I feel bad about it, but I feel like I got to go with my head on this one. So you got the Sunday night game, the Green Bay Packers taking on the New York Giants. The Giants, of course, coming off that Monday night, getting whooped by the Vikings. Green Bay, of course, coming off the bye, a primetime game in Green Bay. I feel like I can't not go with Aaron Rodgers here. Plus, you got that whole deal with Odell Beckham and all that business. Ugh, I'd be worried to go with the Giants right now.
And how can you blame you? The Giants have just been, not a train wreck, but they've had just so much controversy, so many things swirling around them, and even despite the fact that they're a talented team, they've just got so much going on. Green Bay, they've had a rest and they've also had a whole week extra to prepare and get ready for the Giants. So I've got to go Green Bay.
The last game we're talking about on the docket here, Carolina Panthers at home, 1-3, my goodness, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are going to be without Doug Martin and possibly without Charles Sims, putting a lot of pressure on Jameis Winston. God, the Carolina Panthers are going to be angry. I cannot imagine that they're going to come in here and do anything but roll through the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game. I mean, if it's close, you're going to have to be getting upset if you're a Panthers fan, and without a doubt, I would be too. I know it's a division game, but it shouldn't be. This should not be close at all. Carolina wins, period.
Look, with Derek Anderson, I think that this team could still win. If the Carolina Panthers find a way to lose this game, I think we can all presume that this team is not going anywhere. I just feel like at the end of the day, Carolina is still more talented. Jameis Winston has not really been himself. He has not produced the way he did last year. And I don't think this is the defense that he's going to come upon and all of a sudden find that mojo. So I look here and I think to myself, okay, I got a choice to make, and that choice is going to be Carolina.
All right, so we covered all the games here for both college and the NFL. Hopefully you got something out of it and learned something, and whether you agree or disagree with our picks, you can let us know. Of course, check us out, w2mnet.com. We got the power rankings up there for what things look like heading into this weekend. Don't know if we're going to be able to have the fantasy rankings or not. Not sure yet. But if you're a big fan of anything or something that's not football, we're going to have the WWE No Mercy Roundtable that should be the preview out either Friday or Saturday. Also a New Japan King of Pro Wrestling preview as well, and quite a few other things on the site. Podcasts and all such things. So make sure you check it out. Of course, subscribe to WTM Network, where you get not only this podcast, not only the fantasy podcast, but you get all of our podcasts that we do, whether it's ones that Gary and I are involved in, or just ones that are produced by us, or just where they post their podcasts. So you should definitely check it out. Of course, we're also available SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, Blueberry, all these places where there are podcasts. We are available. And if you have a special service that you like to listen to podcasts on, and you happen to hear us and you go, man, you guys aren't on there, let us know. I'll get it on there ASAP. So until we are here again, Gary, I hope everything goes well on your cruise. This is the last time that we'll get to talk here on air. And, hopefully Mike will be around to join me on the after Monday Night Football to discuss everything from NFL. And, of course, on the college show, I'm going to have to see if I can find somebody for that one. But until then, see you later, everybody.